You saw me throwing towels out the shop, shouting at Tate for the rolling pin being on the floor, so excuse all that.
What on earth is this thing?
This is a palette knife and we'll come to that. So what we're making today, Tate?
Empire Biscuits?
Empire Biscuits. We're making Empire Biscuits today, which has probably been the most requested bake.
Finally.
So finally, it's probably been the most requested bake.
And next week, we might do pineapple upside down cake.
No, next week. I'll tell you what we're doing next week.
Well,
Okay, I'll keep that as a cliffhanger. So we've got some hellos. Hi from Adrian and Cricket. Hi from Sharon and Declan and Kilmarnock. Hiya Nicola and Tate. Been looking forward to this all week. Oh, thank you. That's from Sarah Quibble. Hi from Sophie M. Hi from Isla and Lewis in Liverpool. Hi Gisela and Sandra here.
Loads of highs.
Loads of highs. You can say hi. Hi. So, we're going to make Empire Biscuits. First step, as always, first boring step, lining our tins. So we're using baking trays today. So I've got my big giant one that comes with the oven, and then I've got a wee one.
And it comes with the oven?
Yeah, comes with the oven when you get it. And then it fits in. Normally we put some butter or oil around the side of the tin, but because we're just going to line the bottom entirely with greaseproof, we don't actually need to do that today. So we're just going to put greaseproof straight in. So I'm just going to grab the greaseproof. Okay, we might need a couple of sheets for this. Hi from Joshua and Daniel, excited to make Empire Biscuits. Hi from Harry and Ingrid in Glasgow. Hi from Millie and Kilburnie. Hi from Alexia in Glasgow. Okay, so I'm just putting a couple of sheets on my big tin. There we are.
My.
Your tin. And then you put one sheet there. That's so I get the small one.
I get the big one. Yes.
Right, and then
This is my tin.
that's your tin. I've forgotten to get the mixer out, so I'll get. No, it's really heavy.
I know.
You say hellos. You do hellos, and I'll get the mixer. There you go. You meet them there. Don't hear any hellos. So I'm going to use a freestanding mixer today, but you could also use a hand mixer if you have got one, or if you don't, then just a wooden spoon and some good old elbow grease will do it as well. Don't do that, don't leave your mixer on. Right.
That was weird, I just started mixing.
I know. And we're going to use the flat paddle mixer today. So I'll put my dough hook out of the way. Okay, now what we've learned in our last few sessions is that we don't measure our things straight into our bowl, because if they go wrong, then it's harder to pull them back out.
We did that with chocolate cake yesterday, we did it all in one.
Did we? But I think we still measured it into a bowl. So bowl and scales, and we are going to go, the first thing we're going to do is cream our butter and sugar together. So when something says cream together, it basically just means mix. So it means mixing your sugar and your butter together for an extended period of time to make it into a nice creamy mixture. So we're going to mix it probably for about 2 or 3 minutes. So we are going to go in with, you're covering up the recipe, 100 grams, right, I'm going to move you, because you're standing in the middle of the drawers. 100 grams of caster sugar. Take 100 grams of caster sugar.
Hundreds. What?
Right, nice and careful. 100 grams of caster sugar and 225 grams of soft butter. Now, this is the first controversial step in. Okay, stop. Right. Yeah, the first controversial step in making shortbread or Empire Biscuits is whether or not you use soft butter or whether you use hard butter. Hang on a sec. I prefer to use soft butter and to roll my pastry when it's not being chilled. That's,
So,
I find that that's the,
I wouldn't put our hands in.
yes.
Yeah.
I find that's you get the best result and it's the easiest to do. So soft butter, so let's pour our sugar into our big mixing bowl. Take me pour sugar into mixing bowl.
Sugar into mixing bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
What?
else did I forget? What do we always, the other second boring step we always do at the beginning, we always light our tins and we always
Turn on the oven.
turn on our oven. So oven's on at 170 degrees fan, please. 170 degree fan.
Still wondering what
Okay.
this is. No, should we pop it in?
170 fan. And then we're going to weigh out 225 grams of soft butter.
How do you even, like,
Do you want a knife?
yes.
Okay, so tear your scales back to 0.
I did.
And that's it. So just take wee cubes of your butter.
I'll take wee cubes.
Wee cubes. If you haven't softened your butter, you can soften it by cutting it into cubes and putting it in the microwave on a defrost setting. So if you put it in on a defrost setting for maybe 10 or 20 seconds, take it out, see how it's doing, put it back in, do the same again,
How much is
and do it. Well, that's also including the knife.
Oh.
So take the knife out. That's 205, so a little bit more. So yeah, in and out on defrost if you haven't softened butter.
Look, and it's still not enough.
I know!
Let's put
Nobody
it-
said empires were healthy.
I didn't say any words.
Hi from Rowan and Sarah in Aberdeen. How much sugar? 100 grams of caster sugar, please. Oh, now we've gone too much. Now we're 275. So, let's take. What do we need? 225.
225.
225.
25.
240. 225. 225. There we go. Okay, so we've got 100 grams of caster sugar and we've got 225 grams of soft butter. We're going to put them both in the bowl. You pour that in?
Yep.
Yep. I'm going to set my tins to the side for the moment. We need lots of space because we're going to roll out pastry. Well done. Okay. And then we're going to start mixing this. So if you've got a hand mixer, start mixing it with your hand mixer at this point. And at this point, you've just got butter and the caster sugar. Just butter and caster sugar, no flour at this point.
No flour. Wait.
No flour.
No flour.
No
Put it
flour.
in. How do you put it in?
You've got a chocolate cake on my thing from last week.
Ah!
And you're probably going to be mixing it for about 2 or 3 minutes until it's gone light and fluffy. So just start on a slow speed until it starts to combine.
It's really combining.
It'll combine in a minute.
It's sort of combining.
This might be quite difficult to hear over, so as will this. So we'll put it onto mix and I'll do some hellos and things, but I won't say anything too important in case you can't hear me. You're not listening to the instruction?
No.
Actually, we will do one thing while that's mixing. We'll weigh out our flour. So then we're going to weigh out 250 grams of plain flour. So while your sugar and your butter are mixing, or maybe your helper is mixing them, if you weigh out 250 grams of plain flour. Okay? So everything else I say from now will just be hellos and chat chat. Can we turn that on?
Oh no. I'm going like
Okay, so let's weigh out 250 grams of plain flour, please, Dave.
250.
250 grams.
250 grams. Not that much. I bet people.
Iris McDonald, hi from Inverkit.
This is quite
Someone's
short.
asking, would you work with gluten-free flour? Have I tried before? I haven't ever tried before, but there are plenty of gluten-free shortbread recipes on the internet, so I can only imagine it would work fine.
Combining.
Good. Hi from Caroline in Guernsey. Hi from Zara in Bears Den, age 7. Hi from Amy and Mummy in Bannockburn.
Wait, what age? Wait, I mean.
Hi from Arthur in
How much?
Edinburgh. 250 grams of plain flour. 250 grams of plain flour.
250. 250.
Do you want me to hold it?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll hold it.
And I'll
So 250 grams of plain flour.
It's quite light flour.
It's quite light, isn't it?
Really, really. 350.
A bit more. Is it? Right, a little bit out.
Wait, but it's just how 360. How does it taste?
Hi from Tracy and Carlin. Someone's saying they're 50 grams short of icing sugar. Can they use replacement? It doesn't actually matter. The icing sugar is for when we come to ice the biscuits. So you'll just have slightly less icing. So maybe on 1 or 2 biscuits, just put a little bit less icing. Hi from Louise and Fiona. Hi from Mary on the Isle of Lewis. Hi from Lucy and Lynn.
Beep, 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 beep.
Somebody in Nova Scotia. Wow. Say hi to Jackson. Hi Jackson. Hi from Angus and Ella in Glasgow. Hi from Ewan. Okay, so let's turn it up a bit. Whack it right up there.
You know how fast it's hard.
Pardon?
You know how fast it's hard.
As fast as a heartbeat.
Yeah, put it there.
A fast heartbeat. Right, let's go. Hi from Dylan and Rosie and Lindsay. Hi from Fiona and Oscar. Hi from Holly and Annie in Campus Line. I'm making a large one. Would you grease a flan tin? Ooh. Yes. If you're not
turn
gonna,
it up a notch.
okay, one more. If you're not gonna put paper on it, then yeah, maybe do grease it.
Holy moly.
Hi from Grace and Mummy in Stornoway. Hi from Lorna, Eva and Sterling. Hi from Dale in Linwood. Right. We'll stop and do a quick scrape. Anyone who's been watching for the last however many weeks. How many weeks have we been doing this? 5? 6?
This is the 6th.
I think this might be week 6. We'll know that I go about
2 months.
scraping all the time. So
2 months.
scraping is just taking your spatula down the sides.
We've still got brownie.
That's in the freezer. So take a spatula and scrape down the side of your bowl
And
make sure everything, so it basically just helps make sure everything's combined and that you don't end up with a lump of, say, just butter or just sugar somewhere. Okay.
It turns yellow.
So, done a wee bit of scrape, we'll put it back on for another minute or something. Hi from Shauna and 7-month-old Maisie, oh wow. Hi from Ines, Peter and Laura in Fife. Hi from Linda in Bishopbriggs. Hi from Isabel and Sarah in Stornoway. Hi from Saul and Rosa in Europe. Hello from Anna and Rosie. Okay, right. So that's good with the creaming of the butter. So, sometimes it gets stuck here. So it's gone it's paler in colour and it's quite soft and quite fluffy.
Do you want to add this bit in?
I will add that in a second. So I've just done another scrape down. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to add flour and we're going to mix it until it's just combined. So we don't at this stage want to over mix it. We're going to combine it in the bowl. And then what we're going to do is when it's just started to come together, we're going to turn it out onto our surface and we're going to give it a quick knead to break it. Right, stop that please. Tate's going back to school on Monday. Yay!
So we're not going to do the bake along.
No, we are. We're going to keep doing the bake along.
At the same time?
Not at the same time because you'll be at school at 2 o'clock. We are going to move the bake along to 4 p.m. on a Friday. So that will so Tate's in primary 3, so he's going back to school on Monday. So he will be at school this time next week. And so we're going to try the bake along next Friday at 4 p.m. and see how we get on with that. Tate might still be in the school uniform. Okay, so I just did another another scrape down, and then let's pour the flour into the bowl.
Pour the flour into the bowl.
Nice and careful.
Not too
Good boy, give it a wee. No, like use your hand to bash it. Okay, that's it. Good boy. Right, now we're going to mix it with our mixer until it's just combined. I'll put it in because it's a bit fiddly. Go, and then we're going to just do it on a slow speed too, okay? So mixing on a slow speed. So just watch it carefully at this point. I'm going to put the scales out the way because we're going to need all the space to roll our pastry. Right, watching?
Yep.
Watching. Okay. Nearly stop. Did I say turn up? Did not work?
He's done it up, Lily. Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
So it's still in the bowl, it's not come together in one kind of lump yet. It's past the point of looking breadcrumby, but it looks quite sort of crumbly. But that's fine, that's how it's supposed to look.
This is fun.
Right, let's stop doing that. You might do it to wind yourself with the rolling pin.
3, 2, 1.
Right.
I'm done.
Okay. So if you can see that, it looks quite crumbly at the moment. So use your spatula and try and bring it together-ish. And then I'm just going to give our surface a wipe to make sure, because you're going to start rolling your pastry out, so you want to make sure your surface is nice and clean. I did give it a really good clean before this, so I'll just give it one more little wipe just to get rid of any...
Just because that...
What's that?
Paint was on.
The paint. You were painting earlier.
Paint was on.
Yeah. You've been having a great fun day, haven't you? Okay. And I'll move our mixer out of the way, so we've got plenty of space.
Dump it on the place.
Yeah. Dump it on. Dump it straight on your worktop.
The scales have been there.
I know, but that's why I wiped it. Hang on. So Tate, can you grab, so get your plain flour back and dust your work surface.
Dust.
So take a little handful of flour.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Tate also gave his hands a wash just before we started, so that's nice and clean too. And sprinkle the flour over the worktop. That's it. A wee bit thinner than that. Okay. Right, good. Okay, so stop there.
More.
And then, no, that's fine for now. And then use your hand and kind of spread it out, just nice and carefully, so it's sort of everywhere. Feels nice, doesn't it? Okay, so now we've now got a very thoroughly, right. So the workshop should now be all nice and floury. Okay, so our Empire dough is quite buttery. So we use quite a high amount of butter to flour. You can do it with slightly more flour if you wanted to. The good thing about this recipe is that you don't need to worry too much about it picking. Right, hang on. You don't need to worry about too much about picking up extra flour, because it has got that high butter content, so you can kind of afford for it to have a little bit of extra flour when it's on the work surface and when you're flouring your rolling pin and that sort of thing. So I'm just scraping everything out the bowl. Okay, so Tate, are your hands still quite floury? Maybe put a wee bit more on them.
Wait, more?
A little bit more flour on your hands. So what you're going to do you know what kneading means?
I need something?
So
that's what it means. That's exactly what it means.
This kind of kneading, it's spelt with a silent K. What's your little, the N fell over, the K kicked the N and the N fell over, no, the K fell over.
That's my whole class knows that.
So it's knead with a silent K. So it's K-N-E-A-D. And what kneading means is basically, will I show you first?
Yeah.
Okay, so kneading basically just means using your hands to mix dough. So I'm flouring my hands, and then I'm pushing down, see that? I'm pushing down with the heel, like with these bits, the heels of my hands.
Like that?
Yeah, and then fold it back over on itself.
And then push.
Now we're just going to do this, we're just going to do this really quickly, okay? So we don't want to play with it too much, just until it comes together. Okay, so that's probably enough, literally like 3 little pushes is probably enough. And then if you try and bring it together in a ball.
I want to make a ball.
Hang on.
I want to make a ball.
You're going to roll it out. So bring it together while it's a nice smooth ball.
Nice smooth ball.
Then get your rolling pin.
This is going to be a giant fat Empire Biscuit.
Rolling pin. We're going to make lots of Empire Biscuits.
Oh, more than one.
And hang on, you need to flour your rolling pin. So take your left, one of your hands, left hand, get a bit of flour, not too much, not that much, right? And then rub it up and down your rolling pin. That's it. So like that, all round, okay?
Okay.
I'll show you. Take a little bit in your hand, then rub it all round. Okay.
Here we go. I know.
Right. That's. So, it's a good thing I said that the dough's got a bit of tolerance for some extra flour. Okay, now will I show you first of all?
No.
Yes. So I'll show you first. So when we're rolling out empires, or rolling out any kind of pastry, the best thing to do, make sure your surface is nice and floured, is put your rolling pin down, push away from you, and then lift it up. So for the first couple of times I would just do it like that, just push away from you and lift it up. And then turn your pastry. And if your pastry feels like it's starting to stick, move it like that so that it picks up some flour from somewhere else. And then back into the middle. And then
can I get some?
pushing it away from yourself. I tell you what, I'm going to do, I'll do this first go, and then you do it the next time, okay? So I'm going to show you, because I want to show everybody how to do it.
Whoa.
Okay? So keep turning and just kind of doing that so it's constantly, it's not going to start sticking. And if your rolling pin looks like it's going to start, right, let's stop with the flour.
Okay. Stop with the flour.
If your rolling pin starts to stick, just keep flouring it as well. Okay, so don't push really hard. You're just using quite a gentle pressure to push it out at the moment.
Can I try?
Okay, and then I'm just turning again. You can try in a sec, honey. Okay. And the thickness that we are aiming for is about the thickness of a pound coin. So if you laid a pound coin flat on the table, that's the kind of thickness you're going for.
Wow, that's actually quite thin.
It's quite thin, isn't it?
I'll
Okay.
make it nice and thin for you. Oh, it feels nice.
It does feel nice, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Working with pastry is quite nice. Okay. Right, so it's now gotten quite big, so it's going to be a little bit trickier to turn at this point. So we don't want to roll out too much more.
No, can I?
But so I'll do the first lot and then you'll do the next lot. Okay.
Waiting is boring.
Do you think that looks like the length of the thickness of a pound coin?
Over here looks
So this
thin.
time on this last one, I've just done a couple of rolls back and forth because it's harder to turn when it gets bigger. So, Tate, it's now time to cut. So get your cutter. So we're using.
I can roll.
You can roll in the next one. Because what happens is when you cut out, you're then left with lots of excess pastry, and then we pull it back together in another ball and roll it out again. So we've got someone's saying how thin. So
A Scoopy Dipper.
the thickness of a pound coin when it's lying flat.
We got a Scoopy Dipper.
We've got
Scoopy
a
Dipper.
round
Scoopy
cake cutter, not a scoopy duper. It's not scooping at all. So what to do is you also want to flour your cutter. So just dip your flour in your cutter.
So much
You flour in your cutter into your flour like that. And then place it, start as far out to an edge as you can, and then just put straight down.
Good idea.
And then what you can do is either you can go round it and cut them all first, and then go and lift it after, or you can lift one at a time. I think we'll just lift them all at the end. So you start cutting carefully. We're using the plain side because so do them close together, close together. So do them as close together as you can because you want to try and get as much. No, not in the middle. So always go to the edge because if you go in the middle and then you couldn't fit one either side, then that would be a waste of all that dough. But if you start towards the edge, then you might get, well, you'll definitely get 2 and you might get 3. Are you listening?
Yes!
I'm trying to teach you and you're not listening to me.
Right. No!
Okay, so starting at the edge, right? Now as close as you can beside it. Oh, so if that happens, if it gets stuck inside, that's fine. Just do that and it'll fall out and I'll put it straight onto our tin. So, I'll get the tin across and start to lay it on.
I put it exactly beside it.
Well done. Just be careful you don't put too close beside it, otherwise you'd actually end up with a little, like
that?
dent. So,
that's
okay, it's stuck again. So remember I said to keep flouring your cutter?
Keep flouring.
So do that and it shouldn't happen, okay?
Okay.
And when you lay them on your tin, they will spread a bit, so don't lay them really close together. Give them a bit of space between each other so that if they spread, they don't stick together. So hang on. So a good way to pick them up so that you don't damage them is if you get, I've got a palette knife here. That's what the knife's for, take. I've got a knife here, so you can just
scoop it under.
Exactly, so you can scoop it under
Good
like
idea.
that, and it means that you don't then touch the side and damage the side.
Like a waffle.
If you don't have a palette knife, you could use just a normal knife and just slide it under. Good, good.
Everyone doesn't have a palette knife. I've never come across a palette knife.
Someone's saying that they think, oh, we're going rogue. We've done a flowery one.
Oh.
That's okay. We need to do it. So just use the fluted side of the cutter.
Then we need to do another
fluted one so that we
Oh,
can.
it doesn't matter.
That's fine. Do you like the fluted? We can do the fluted.
Yeah.
That's fine. We can do fluted if you want. So I'm going to just remember. So it's good to do close, but not just so close that you actually end up with a wee dink out of it. Someone's asking what size my cutter is. This cutter I have. Do we have a measuring tape in here too?
Huh?
Do we have a measuring tape in here?
Yep. We do. Yep.
Where's the Kung Fu Panda ruler? The only ruler that I can ever find in this house is the Kung Fu Panda ruler.
And you always use it.
I always use it. These are. I'm going to guess my cutter is about 7 centimetres diameter. That would be my guess. So it's a little bit bigger than like your kind of maybe your standard Empire Biscuit, just because I like a big Empire Biscuit. Okay, so
Uh-oh.
it's good. It just got stuck again.
No, we've not got enough room.
That's alright. Oh, that's okay. So what we do now? So
oh yeah, we are going to make a whole other batch. So
we've
we are going to make a whole other batch, so it doesn't really matter.
We've now used up all of our space. So push it back together.
Push.
Nice and careful.
Push.
So bring your pastry back together
Push.
and give it a knead again.
Push.
But again, being quite gentle. Don't over bash it.
Push.
Someone's saying, what if it's breaking? It shouldn't break because ours is quite high in butter content. That's why it shouldn't break. It might start to break if you've overworked it or if there's too much flour gone into it. So at the moment, for example, this
It's crusty.
pile is a bit,
Crusty.
it's all kind of broken. But we're just going to, see how it's starting to stick to the worktop? It starts to stick to the worktop. I'm just going to take my knife and scrape those bits off. And then what we're going to do, if it was sticking, what do we do?
Scrape off.
No. If it was stick, why is it sticking? What does it need?
More
So
flour.
because we've got loads of flour around here, so just drag some of this flour into the middle.
Still don't think it's enough.
What if you don't have any baking parchment? If you don't have baking parchment, I would just use butter or oil to grease your tin and put them straight on there. Okay, so do you want to give it a bit of a knead?
No.
There's a wee bit excess. So a bit of a knead, quite firm. And then that's it, back over, push, back over. Good. So just work it until it's back to being smooth and together again, and it's not got these cracks in it. I'll just give it a quick. You can even pick it up like that and sort of bring it back together as a ball in your hand, okay? Nice and careful.
Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Ooh, crusty.
Okay, and then you put it down. Right, this is Tate's grand rolling debut. Have you ever rolled anything with a rolling pin?
No.
No. Okay.
Except for Play-Doh.
Except for Play-Doh. It's basically the same.
Well, I was at nursery.
It is.
All every day.
It's basically the same except tastes much nicer.
Play-Doh, Play-Doh,
So-
Play-Doh, Play-Doh.
Go back down. Let's not do that. This is a fancy roller that
It's 3 rollers in one.
it gives you. Did you undo these?
No.
You can set a thickness of it, which is quite clever. Remember, dust your rolling pin?
Okay.
So we're going in for the second roll here. Someone's asking, what butter do you recommend? In terms of no particular brand, we do use actual butter rather than margarine. And then someone was saying they had missed the recipe. Oh, Jill's just put the recipe up. But it was, so hang on. So see the way when you look at your pastry, you've got a big fat end and a wee thin end. So you've what you've done there is you've pushed down too hard here. So you try and push really evenly. That's it. And then hang on, see the way what you were doing there, you were just pushing the rolling pin. So put it down and let your hand do that. So you want to get to turn down now. Let me proving myself to be a control freak. So put it down and then roll it nice and gentle. That's it, good. Okay, and then hang on, what did I do between rolls? What did I do? Turn, so nice and careful. Try and,
You can't turn it.
you can't turn it. There we go. Okay, another wee gentle, nice and gentle. That's it, good, really good. Okay, again. Right.
That looks like a star.
It does look a bit like a star. You could just make one big giant star biscuit. We do this at work.
What, you make giant big star biscuits?
Well, our new white chocolate jammy Rocky Road has got shortbread in it, and it's our own homemade shortbread. So we make big giant sheets of it to bash up to put in our Rocky Road.
You make your own Rocky Road? Oh, it was just this. I'm coming.
Oh, the wire. Okay, I think we're probably at the right thing. So remember, flour the cutter.
Beep,
That's
beep,
it.
beep, beep. No, we need to do another one of.
You want to do floated again? Okay.
Yeah, we need to do another one.
Michael Ria, can I have a shout out? There you go. I always remember the best part of baking was licking the bowl. Empire Biscuits doesn't really give you anything good
Except for the jam.
Except for that's very true. Okay, so far we have got, I'll tell you how many biscuits we've got out of this mix. We've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So far we've got 15 biscuits.
And we're going to do one more.
And we'll probably, we might get 2 more. So we might get about 17.
We might roll this one back up.
So remember to leave space between, well done. It's got a wee cracked edge, but that's fine, that could be yours. Don't use a knife. Okay, and then onto the tray. That's it.
You
So
can actually make more now. We can still make more.
out of the scraps.
Yeah.
Really good. It just gets harder and harder. The more times you roll it, the more chances that it will crack.
What do I do now?
There
Do I break that?
you go. Okay, good boy. Nice and gentle. That's it. Does anyone else feel like they spend their time saying gentle?
No.
Maybe that's just with boys. Gentle. There we go. Okay, good, lovely. So,
No.
see there, Tate, see the way we ended up with loads of, if you end up with loads of flour on a biscuit, just sort of brush it off so that
We
you
can
don't
only
have a big.
make one more.
Do you want me to do this bit?
Yeah.
Right, so
Wait, I just need to.
last little bit, I'm just picking it up in my hands and
Wait,
giving
I
it.
just need to do a test.
What's your test?
Pear. Wait, so pear. pear. No. So pear, 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 pear. This guy doesn't have a pear.
Okay.
Pear, 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 pear. Okay, we've all got pears.
So that means we need to make at least 2 more. We need to make 2 more rather than 1 more.
They've all got pears.
So do you know what I'll do, Tate? See, because we're trying to make 2. I'll try and make our dough into like a long sort of sausage shape, so that
What does that mean?
like
I know
this.
sausage means.
Well, like I think we'll get more than 2 actually.
We'll get like 9.
Okay, here you go. Somebody said they have got 12 biscuits, and someone said they've got 20 biscuits. I mean, that's the beauty of
20 biscuits.
home baking. There's no rules. You can have them as thick as you want. You can have them as big as you want. Okay.
This guy doesn't have a pear.
So
He
we've
needs
got
a
this guy,
pear.
and
He
then
doesn't have
do you reckon we can fit? Right, so we're gonna be risky, and we're gonna try and fit 1 more on here too. I think they're gonna. Somebody actually said we got ahead of ourselves and put them in the oven and they spread. In fact, do you know what? I think that was what I think it was Fiona. It was Fiona Bear. Fiona, I'm going to take your advice, and I'm not going to try and squeeze 1 more on. I'm going to just make sure they've got enough space. Okay. Oh, you're cracking on with another one, right? Okay, we'll put it. We'll put them in a separate tin. Okay, so we're going to put them in the oven now.
We need more
The
time.
oven was preset to 170 degrees. So
We
they're going
need
to go
more
in.
tins.
They're going to hang on. I'll get you one in a sec. Put that down. Just put it down. They're going to go in for between 8 to 10 minutes. Right, can you bring this over for me?
I just can't stop.
You're addicted to rolling.
I need to make more empire.
So we'll set it for 8 to start with. Right, mister.
Just making one more.
Right, why don't we make that as just a kind of funny shaped one? Sorry, splashing around here. Right, we'll just get the extra cheese. Oh, chocolate cake from last week. Okay.
There we go.
Right, let's put our wee 3 extra and we'll chuck him in the oven later.
3 extra.
So you see the way, because that was now, what was that, about your 4th or 5th roll? So sometimes your last one might be, to be honest, it probably won't, it'll still taste lovely as shortbread. It might just be best eaten as shortbread rather than trying to make it into an Empire Biscuit because it might go a bit mishy. Right, okay, we're going to set this to the side for now and we'll bake them in a bit. Right.
Well, 1 more. Do you think we can make
You guys,
last?
oh,
Wait, I want to make a
hang on.
tiny Empire Biscuit.
Hang on. We need to put a timer on. So 8 to 10 minutes.
Alexa,
So,
set timer to 8 to 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
Did it?
I just turned the oven off. So we're going to take. Right.
I'm gonna try and make 1 last tiny Empire Biscuit.
7. Okay, sorry. I managed to turn the oven off while trying to set a timer.
Is it mine?
So I've set my timer for.
Can we put this
Well, I
in
put it
the
on
oven?
for. I put it on for 7 minutes because they've been in for a minute or so, and I'm going to check them after 8 minutes. Empire Biscuits don't need very long, so my advice would always be sort of check them sooner, see how they're doing, and then if you want a bit longer, leave them in. Whereas if you leave them in for say 12 minutes and they're overdone, then there's nothing we can do about it. And it'll kind of depend again on personal preference. Some people probably like more well-fired Empires, some people probably like them paler. When they do come out the oven, they'll still feel really soft, so if you were to touch them or to sort of lift them with a knife, they'll still be really soft. So don't worry that they then need to go back in. They don't. They'll set in the kind of 5, 10, 15 minutes once they're out the oven. Okay, so we're going to clear up all this flour and we are going to do
Oh, that's cold.
the towels over there.
So
We are going to show you how to ice them. So I've got some Empire Biscuits that I made the other day. So I will use them. I would say you want to,
Oh my goodness.
look at all this flour. Look at all this flour. We're just going to chuck this in the bin because it's got bits of pastry and stuff in it, so it probably wouldn't be great for making anything.
There's the dry chocolate cake. There's the dry chocolate.
That was the last bit of the chocolate cake in the bin. Okay,
Dry
so
chocolate cake.
let's.
Dry chocolate cake. Let's throw this up and see how far it.
Right, you're going to get put under the table again. Okay? Okay? Calm
Okay.
down. Okay, so.
You can do
Cleaning our bench.
Roll that over there.
What is the next step, Tate? What are we doing next? Because you're not listening. So, next step is making icing. We're going to ice.
Of course.
Right. Quiet. If people can't hear. We are going to ice empires that I made a few days ago, so they're going to be super cool. I would wait until your empires are completely cooled before you ice them. Which probably would be about, if you put them on a cooling rack, maybe 40 minutes, but just do it by touch. So they should just feel really cool. So, take next step. We need to get the scales back. You get the scales over? Be quite a good finale if at one point I just throw Tate out the bake log entirely. Not a finale, because we are doing next week. Somebody saying use a gin glass as your cutter. Excellent idea. Another good tip, if you don't have a rolling pin, use a wine bottle as a rolling pin. Which I actually did have to do quite a lot because I didn't have a rolling pin at home for years, and every time I went to do anything, I remembered again. So I would wrap a wine bottle in cling film and then use that as a rolling pin. Right, icing sugar
But you might break it.
into the
Like push it too hard and then break it.
wine bottles are very sturdy. Right, 450 grams of icing sugar, okay? So we've got some in here, and if you need more, then there's some in the bag. So 450 grams of icing sugar. You can make this icing now if you would like, and then just wait till your biscuits are cool.
Wait, are we making icing sugar for... Wait, how much icing sugar do we need for the whole batch?
450 grams.
Oh, for the whole batch.
Yes.
Did you just do sums?
Someone says, can you say hi to Braden age 8? Hello. 8 to 10 minutes in the oven, but check them after 8 minutes. We're about to use the milk. Someone's asking where do we use the milk. We are about to... Someone's saying we can't get ours to lift off the surface. So we were using a palette knife to pick them up. Probably means if they're stuck to the surface, it's probably because you haven't floured it enough. So make sure you put lots of flour on.
Now, where's the
450 grams, please. We're actually not using water this time, we're going to use milk. So remember, don't lean it on the side. Pour it in. Goes
I
everywhere.
think it's going to.
Yes.
Well, this is...
Whoop.
We still don't have enough.
I know. Icing sugar, when you make it into, although this is not going to be water icing because we're going to use milk.
Steam.
Oh, don't do that. It goes down to much less than it looks at the moment. Hi Lula, age 3 in London. 450 grams of icing sugar. 450, well done. So, an important thing when you're making, so I'm going to call this water icing, even though we're using milk, so it's not technically water
Milk
icing.
icing.
But it's not like a buttercream.
We should call it milk icing.
When you're making icing like this, don't put too much liquid in because your icing sugar will just start running. Got icing sugar in my lungs. Don't put too much in at one time because it will just run off the biscuit. So go super slowly in with your liquid. So although I said 60 mils, don't put all 60 mils in at once. Right, so let's get, what we'll do, we're going to do this a tablespoon at a time. So a tablespoon is 15 mils. So
the biggest one.
So if a tablespoon is 15 mils and we need 60 mils, how many tablespoons is that?
Oh, I don't understand. You're just checking that. No.
You're not getting to eat one until you do this, son.
No.
Right, there's my timer, so I'm going to check my empires. You be
How do you
careful.
pour milk into this?
Carefully.
But it's heavy.
Wait for me.
Oh, I can't. I feel like it's just kind of.
Okay, so I've just checked my empires and they're, right, hang on. Right. So,
Are you just going to pour that back in?
no. Oh yes, actually I will. Hang on. Need to reset the timer.
Alexa has gone off.
Okay, I'm giving them another 2 minutes. So just like increase it really, like not increase it, but give it another 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Don't just give it 5 minutes because they burn really easily. Okay, so we're going to do it a tablespoon at a time and then just stir really, really carefully. And you just want to do it until it's just turned into a liquid. Okay, so pour into here, please.
Yes.
Don't do it over the icing sugar in case you accidentally pour tons in. So do it over somewhere else. Right, stop. Like that. Okay, so
Over your hand?
one. Right, can you give it a very careful stir? Very careful because it's going to go poof. Susanna Ferguson says, I don't want to do sunburns either. From Oscar and Marin on the Isle of Barra. Wow. Okay, so I think we can add our second one now. So you hold this time and I'll pour. Okay, not over there because I just said don't do that. So we'll do it over here. Okay, pour. Good. And then we're just carefully stirring. It also, it's one of these things that it looks as if, like right now, this just looks still completely powdery.
It's making my insides go cold.
What is this? I know it is. But it suddenly all starts to come together really quickly.
Just like chalk on chalkboard.
Like chalk on a chalkboard. Right. 3. Okay, so I just start?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, I can put these scales to the side again because you don't need to. Good boy. Check my biscuits again.
Milk makes it much tougher. I need the spatula to scrape. I need the spatula to scrape.
Okay, so my first batch are done.
Ooh,
If you can
that's
see
enough.
them. They're kind of
Alexa
golden,
was right.
golden
Alexa,
brown.
Stop.
And I'm going to let them, and as I say, they will feel soft when they come out, but that's fine, don't worry.
I'm hot.
I'm going to put them just to one side to cool. And then my second tray was lower down in my oven, so they're still a bit pale, so I'm going to move that up again. Right, just hang on. Do a cake, so do even less than that. So that was our fourth one, and I'm just saying to put half a tablespoon in, because even though it still looks really lumpy, it does just suddenly start to turn. Let's put that in.
It's not turning.
So I just moved my other ones up a rack, and I'm going to reset my timer
It's not.
for another 2 minutes.
Cold inside. Cold inside.
Do you want me to do it? So it'll feel really, really, really stiff.
Cold inside. Cold inside.
Another wee drop.
You said not to do that.
I know, but I've done it lots of times before, so but yeah, just keep doing it like wee drip by drip.
Cold inside.
Okay. How much icing sugar? 450 grams. Oh yes, Gillian's just saying that the recipe is in our cookbook, which if you've tried to buy it recently on our website, you'll see that it's sold out. we've actually now completely sold out of the book, and we are talking to the publisher at the moment about having it reprinted because it's out of print at the moment. But I think we're going to do another print run soon. So we'll soon, the website will be back, restocked with books. And so yeah, if you keep an eye on our social media, if you don't follow us on social media, if you follow us on either Facebook or Instagram, and once we get the books back and once they're online again, we will put that on social media so you'll be able to see it there.
Clothing sites.
Other things that we've got on our website at the moment are our Mother's Day bake boxes. So if you want to get your mum a nice Mother's Day present, or if you are a mum and you want to buy it for yourself, do that too. Okay, so it's really, really thick right now, but you don't want to go much past this. So I'm going to put in like one more little drip. You want it to be probably thicker than you'd think, because otherwise it will just fall off the biscuits. So I literally just... How do you look?
Done.
See they're done?
Overdone, actually.
Overdone. See? No, I say they look perfect. Perfect. Okay, oven off. Right.
Now you done.
And I would let your Empire Biscuits cool on the tin for a good maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20, until they feel quite cool. Because if you try and take them off at this point, they'll be, hang on, because they'll get all bent if you do it like that. Let's put them in. Once that one's cool, we'll move them over, okay? That's just our wee extra ones. We'll move them over.
Not extra. They are
Well,
not extra.
they're true, they're just part of the batch, aren't they? Okay, so I think,
What would that
so I don't know if you can see how thick this is.
Not pretty thick.
It is very, very thick.
Like chocolate milk.
You don't have to make it this thick, but it will make spreading easier, and there'll be less chance of it running off the biscuit.
Where are your biscuits?
And what I would do is, if you're not sure, start off with it super thick, and if you go to put it on a biscuit and you're finding it really hard to work with, then add a bit more. Because as with everything in baking, you can always add a bit more, but you can't take a bit away once you've... Icing's weird in that once you've added too much liquid, even though technically adding more icing sugar should just do the same thing, sometimes it's quite hard to get it back to the right consistency. Okay, so I'm going to grab the biscuits that we did before, and we're going to put, the first stage is to put jam in the middle. So Tate confessed earlier that he didn't know Empire Biscuits had jam in the middle, which I'm going to blame on the fact that maybe Tate's had Empire Biscuits not from Three Sisters Bake bought out of the shop, because you tend to get, when you buy shop bought Empire Biscuits, you get hardly any jam in them, which I'm absolutely not a fan of that approach. No, Empire Biscuits is always 2 biscuits. So I'm just going to get a bit of grease scrapes because I just wiped the table so it's a bit wet. And I've got some biscuits here that we made before. So these are totally cool.
How many? Oh my goodness!
Right. So
many.
Jam first. Are we doing it at the same time?
What would happen? Oh! Yeah, we're gonna end up with having like a million Empire Biscuits.
Well, maybe we'll
Those
give them to
ones-
some people.
These ones, so many. So many.
That's what happens every week when we end up with far too much cake in this house.
I am not saying I don't like that. What's so funny?
I am fully in support of that. Okay, so jam. So pick up one biscuit.
Nicola versus Tate.
I would say about
Empire Biscuit
probably about
salad.
1 teaspoon of jam. Again, go on the lesser side, and then you can always add a bit more. So that's probably about right, Tate. So hang on. That was maybe a wee bit too much. You don't, as much as, so it's great to have lots of jam because it makes them taste amazing. You don't want to have so much that it all just falls out the side. So that's it. So Tate's just using the back of the spoon, and then if you push it, don't push it completely out to the edges. If you just push it to, so I'll show you. So we'll take a teaspoon of jam, I'm putting it in the middle, and then I'm going to spread it.
I always like push it to the side.
I'm going to go a tiny bit more.
I'm going to go one like dab more.
One dab more.
Maybe a tiny bit.
Okay. And I've gone out to about,
There we go.
okay, so I've gone like that. So maybe a centimetre from the edge, because what that means is then when you put the lid on it and give it a wee squeeze, your jam will spread out a bit more and it won't fall out the sides.
It's really too much.
So this is what happens when you put a bit of magic. But you know what? That's going to taste amazing, isn't it?
It's gonna taste amazing. And that little hole in the middle.
And then the next thing we're going to do is put the icing on top. So it's a similar process. I would say about a teaspoon. This kind of a teaspoon, like a teaspoon that you use for actual tea as opposed to a measuring teaspoon.
Like an actual teaspoon that you use for tea.
And
Oh,
will I do it first? Will I do it first and then you watch me? I'll do it first and then you watch me taste.
Okay.
I'll do it first. So about a teaspoon.
About a teaspoon.
Yeah, I'll do it first and you watch me.
I'm gonna copy you.
Does anyone else get bored of saying the same things over and over? Put it in the middle and just use the back of the teaspoon. That's what I find the easiest way to do it.
Get it now.
And use the back of the teaspoon and push it out.
I've done this more times.
Than me.
No, not than you. Just I have did it more times than
Have done.
have done it more times than
Because of crafting and tea.
yeah. Well, I'm just we usually.
So you see, because we made it so thick, it's needing a bit of spreading, but it's not. You don't have that risk of it running off the sides.
This is.
So I'm just slowly
This is
kind of.
thick. Do I get more?
I would take a bit more, yes. The other thing, some people like to use their finger to ice the biscuit. So if you get a cup of hot water, dip your finger in it and just do that. That works quite well as well. I do prefer the back spoon.
3.
And then I would take. Oh, no, too much. Too much.
Way too much.
Way too much. Okay, now so hold that above your thing. Use your pinky. Push it off. The whole thing off. More. Right. In the middle. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, now take the back of your spoon
Back of my spoon.
and spread, maybe pick your biscuit up.
Pick my biscuit. Pick me biscuit up.
Pick your biscuit up.
Pick me biscuit up.
Okay,
And then
just spread it right. So I've just been using the back of my spoon. I've taken it out to about, again, maybe about a centimetre.
I think most
And
is
you'll-
nicer.
You will,
I'm gonna
you'll
use
still
the-
see kind of like lumps or not lumps, but it will be a bit textured at this stage. If you just let your Empire Biscuit sit for a few minutes, that'll all smooth out and you'll get a nice smooth icing. Beautiful. Okay, now comes
Yours is better.
the big decision. But take how long have I been baking for and how long have you been baking for?
You've been baking for like before you even made up the job three sisters bake.
Exactly.
Like when you were a child.
Exactly. I was baking with then you can
Like
see this
30
one.
years.
Exactly. I've been baking for a long time and
Like
you've only been
30
doing it for a few years. So you'll be this good when you're as old as me. Now comes the big decision. Do we go cherry on top or do we go jelly sauce on top?
Jelly top.
Jelly top for you, cherry for me. So I've got both. I'm a traditionalist. I like glassy cherry. But I do appreciate that the consensus
I like these things.
most of the rest of the world is that they love a jelly top. So I'm going to half my cherry, I think. Well, I'm going to put that one's a bit squashed. Oh, Tate's going rogue and he's doing lots of cherries on his. And there we go.
And there we go.
And there we go. And here's Tate's. And he's got 5 jelly tots. Okay, beautiful.
Wait, do I? Oh no, 4 jelly tots. Wait, oh yeah, fine.
So we've got Amanda Mackin saying jelly tot. Dawn Murray, jelly tot. Alice Ferguson, cherry. Yes, you're in my camp. Danny Henderson says mini marshmallow on top. Ooh, you'd like that.
We've got
Someone's saying, I've seen you use a piping bag for icing. Yeah, so some of our bakers prefer to use a piping bag, which is totally fine as well. It's quite good if you're doing lots, because you can put loads of icing in it and do it like that. And if you maybe feel, oh, Linda Donald cherry, Jennifer Hogg cherry, Jub. Oh, Smarties. So yes, so icing bag you can do that. I do just prefer using a spoon. It's a bit, I find it's less faffy if you're just doing a small batch at home. Jennifer Thompson, my son doesn't like jam. Could we use Nutella? Ooh, yes. Well, we have just started doing Nutella Empires and they are proving a right hit. So we use, what we do is mix Nutella with a bit of chocolate so that it sets a bit firmer on top. That's quite nice. And then you could just use straight up Nutella inside, or you could do like a Nutella buttercream inside. That'd be quite nice too. Do you want to do another one? Okay, could you do another one? We have watermelon flavoured jelly sweets. Wow, crazy. Mary Mayer, cherries in our house. Ours are spread so much we had 2 gigantic Empire Biscuits. That's Linda McDonald's. That sounds amazing. Someone's saying any kind of jam. Yes, any kind of jam. We've gone raspberry because that's our favourite. But
my favourite's apricot.
Is it? Do you want to make apricot?
That sounds fun.
It does seem very fun. That'd be nice. You could make the icing orange.
And then it's strawberry.
That'd
And
be
then
nice.
it's raspberry.
Mini
And this
Easter eggs.
house.
Yes, that's a nice
And
idea.
this house, my favourite rabbit is
Alison Campbell. I prefer jelly tots, but my mum would rather cherry. I think it's a real crowd divider whether you go jelly tots or whether you go cherries.
Is that too much?
A little bit. So just there we go. So the Empire Biscuits that were, so these ones that came out the oven maybe 10 minutes ago, to feel if they're ready to move them, you can just kind of, so I just put my fingers under it and I can feel that it is now sort of firmed up.
Can you
what I would still
one
do,
way? I don't know which way, but even one way will be fine.
oh, don't dip your finger in my nice Empire Biscuit. Right, what would you like to do? Do you want me to help spread?
Yes, please.
Okay. Ooh, someone's saying you could use Biscoff spread. Yes, that's the next thing. Now that we have just discovered Biscoff as well. I always thought I didn't like Biscoff until, because I could take or leave a Biscoff biscuit. But then when I discovered the Biscoff spread, oh my goodness, it's amazing. But yes, Biscoff Empires. I think that might be the next thing.
My finger's going to dry up.
Right, there we go. Just wipe your finger.
It's what?
Do you want to put, what are you going to put in there? Jelly sauce? Ooh, someone says Dolly mixture is nice. Yes, that'd be lovely. I mean, that is the beauty of the Empire Biscuit. You can put anything you want on top. But yeah, so I was just saying, my Empire Biscuits that came out the oven like 10 minutes ago are now fairly firm. So
there's a lot of beauties in it.
there is a lot of beauties. They're still really
You
soft.
can make them as long as you want. You can make them how many you want. You can make a triple Empire Biscuit.
Ooh, like this.
Yeah.
1,
2, 3.
a triple Empire Biscuit.
Yeah, look. Then you put jam in there, Nutella, jam there, Nutella there, icing on top. And if you want to do 4, then you could do, and there, you could put Biscoff spread, and then you can do icing on the other one. You can do 4.
I think I'd just rather have like a jam one, separate Nutella one, separate biscuit one, and then just eat them all.
I think that was
So
giant
if you want to cool them down a bit faster, if you put them onto, if you take them off the tin and put them onto a cooling rack.
My already beauties. Already dead.
So if you lay them on a cooling rack like this, it'll cool them down. Michelle Ozturk is saying, love the idea of an Empire stack. Maybe you should patent that idea soon. Francis Robertson says, can you freeze them? Yes, you can. So they freeze when they're in biscuit form. They freeze really well. You can freeze them made up. They're probably not quite as good, like they don't keep as well. So I would say if you want to freeze them, freeze them when they're biscuits, and then take them out and make them up once you take them out. Message for Tate. This is from Caroline Louise Humphreys. Katie says his quadruple decker Empire Biscuit sounds amazing. There you go.
Yay!
And then someone saying didn't realise you put milk and icing sugar. So you can just do it with water. You don't have to use it with milk. We just quite like doing it with milk. So I've just laid all my biscuits. Look, this one was too close to the edge. He's gone a bit.
How do you...
That's fine. You can just be a wee wonky one.
How many should we take to Francis' house?
So let's discuss that after. So, someone's saying we've got 30 singles. Wow.
30. Wow.
And then someone else is saying I did big ones, but I got 17. Yeah, so we did. Ours are quite big.
Let's see how many we got.
And we got
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. 11 and 6 is 3.
Hi from Emily and Mum and Paisley.
17.
Hi from Katie and Sharon.
17.
Someone saying, why did you freeze them?
We got 20!
Wow.
Including those little
Can you say hi to Pippa and James who are on too?
Hi!
Right, so next week we are going to move the time to 4 o'clock because Tate's going back to school on Monday. So we're going to move the time to 4 o'clock, so it's a bit after school. And next week we're going to make... Have I told you this?
No.
We're going to make mini egg cookies. So, do you know what mini egg is?
No.
You know, like the chocolate eggs that you get at Easter time? The ones that got like a kind of crispy outside shell. Them...
Ones that Daddy really loves.
Yes. Them in a cookie. Does that sound good? Right, so that's past Tate's approval. So next week we're going to do mini egg cookies and we're going to do it at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Mini egg cookies, yum. Lots of people saying that. 25 from their wine glass cutter, excellent. Dawn Murray says, yum, 2 of my favourite things. Next week sounds amazing. Hello from Emily and Confirmer. We'll tune in for mini eggs. Yes, please do. So we'll put the recipe up on Sunday night, hopefully.
Can I make one more?
Yes.
Yay! Can I
So
make
use
a million more? Can I make all of them? Can I make so many? Can I just make... I'll make this one too.
they're actually not a very good match.
Fine.
See, that's the thing, you have to sometimes kind of match them up because you get slightly different.
I'll look for some wait, what?
More?
People got like a million in
We've
our
got a million Empire Biscuits.
I know.
You know what we're doing this weekend? We're eating Empire Biscuits. There you go. What an engineer Tate is. You are that. See some of his Lego creations. Hi to Charlotte and Gillian in Erskine. Linda Donald says, thank you both for a lovely Friday afternoon. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you for all joining us. It's been lovely. And I'm glad that we finally satisfied the Empire Biscuits requests. Hopefully everyone has... That's good. That's a good amount of jam. Well done. Hopefully everybody's Empire Biscuits turn out really nice. I'm just feeling... So the ones that are in the oven are now... I would say you probably ice them in about 10 minutes. I can still feel the tiniest bit of warmth in them. Hi from Sky in Glasgow. Enjoyed that, thanks. Great double act. That's you and I. Oh! Esther Weir says thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, they taste amazing. Your assistant really cheers us up. I'm glad he cheers you up. And for those who have got people going back to school, everybody good luck going back to school. Tate Lindsay, somebody called Lindsay is asking, are you excited to go back to school?
Half of it yes, half of it no. Please don't ask what bits are no.
I won't. I know better. I know better.
Oh, come on, Pinky
Hi
Lights.
from Millie. Thank you from Claire in East Ayrshire. Thank you from Cara. Okay, but we will go now and go and we've got loads of Empire Biscuits. I think we might be here till dinner time. And then we've got lots of eating to do. Right, so it's been
so much eating to do. More than
thank you everybody for joining us, and we will see you next week